Again, I want to say welcome. I'm honored to be sharing Montclair's history and celebrating the reopening of the Catching Owens Community Suite. Thank you all for joining us. Yes, if you don't know by now, I am the Superintendent of Montclair Public Schools, Dr. Jonathan Pons. And we're here today, adjacent to our Glenfield Middle School, the Visuals and Arts Performing Arts Magnet for grades 5 through 8. Over the decades, building a community center was the topic and frequent discussion. There were a number of proposals, talks with the board and community partners, the writing of a grant, the adoption of a community school concept, and now here we are. And the people in the audience are true testaments of the story that was and how far we've come. Before you leave today, I invite you to take a copy of the handout, The History of the Community Suite in Glenfield. The original federal grant for renovation of Glenfield School was written by Dr. Stephanie Robinson, who is here today. Miss Stephanie Robinson, please stand for a well-deserved round of applause. Ms. Robinson and Ms. Choice traveled to Washington, D.C. to promote a community school concept and came away with more than $900,000 to renovate Glenfield. Quite impressive. It takes living in a space to make it a home, and this space has been home to seniors, civic organizations, social gatherings, and our Glenfield community students for more than 40 years. In collaboration with the Glenfield Task Force, this venue has been used for countless programs and special events and was renamed and rededicated in 2001 as the Catching Owens Community Suite. I'd call the home, and don't you think it deserves a refurbishing? Mr. Kelly and his team absolutely did it. I'd like to thank our board and our board president, Ms. Latifah Jana, who's here today. Who support our work, and our buildings and grounds supervisor, Mr. Robert Kelly. Mr. Tyreek Hunter. And I know him as Mr. Senior, who's back there also, and his son, Mr. Junior. Who worked many hours replacing ceilings, lighting, replacing flooring, installing new window treatments, upgrading bathrooms, for making this space a welcoming and inviting meeting place, embracing social activities, recreation, civic events, educational programs benefiting youth and adults in our community. A special thank you to our PTA Council and for our PTA president who's here today of Glenfield. Please stand. For donating new furniture to this space. Also, Mr. Robert Kelly had a TV in his office that he actually took out and placed here in the corner for the Catching Suite. Our parental support and involvement are the best in the state. These types of projects are what community is all about, and I demonstrated connection and a working together in its finest. I am delighted to have 3 former board members with us today who were part of this community concept, who in 1984 voted a significant resolution to approve the definitions of community schools and community education and the receipt of more than $940,000 in federal funds toward the renovation of Glenfield School and the implementation of the community education in concept. I'd like our former board members to stand for a well-deserved round of applause. Mr. Ron Burton. Dr. Carol Willis. Ms. Joyce Michelson. Ms. Joyce Michelson is also the founder of our well-known and loved Montclair Fund for Educational Excellence and a former deputy mayor. She was also the chair of our original task force. I would also like to recognize Mrs. Ruth Burton, who couldn't be here today. Ron's mother, who attended Glenfield School in the 30s, when it was a K through grade 9 school, and she proudly saved a 9th grade class photo from 1942. These community folks constitute a legacy and a piece of history that make Montclair special to live and raise children. And in just a few moments, we will hear from Councilman David Cummings, who was instrumental to the 4th Ward community and knows the history of the community center since its inception. He wholeheartedly embraces the strong connections in Montclair and sees the bright future ahead. He will be introducing family members from the Choice, Owens, and Pellins family. I'd like to acknowledge township officials who are here. Deputy Chief Will Young, Police Lieutenant Tyrone Williams, and I don't see some of our other officials, but I want to thank them for supporting us. Thank you. I want to thank Police Chief Todd Forty for supporting us. Fire Chief John Herman for supporting us. Deputy Township Manager Brian Scannability for supporting us. And also recognize Ms. Carmen Taylor, former board member. From our school district, I want to recognize Principal Pierce from Glenfield Middle School. Personnel Director, Mr. Damon Cooper. Assistant Principal of the middle school, Mr. Vincent Pelly. Mr. Major Jennings, Principal at Buzz Aldrin. Former guidance support staff and who also was the coordinator for the catching suite in Glenfield Task Force, Miss Sandy Hunter. Head custodian, Mr. Brown. Also, our Montclair Education Association president, Ms. Kathy Condrick. Without all of you here today, your commitment to this great community of Montclair would not be celebrating things right now. Before I invite some of our special guests up, I would like to ask Mr. Robert Kelly to come and give a few words. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, before I have you say a few words, I want to recognize Ms. Baskerville here from the 4th Ward. Ms. Baskerville, former 4th Ward councilwoman.
I don't know if my voice is as strong as Dr. Palm's, but I'll try to project. I'd like to thank a few people, if that's all right. I'd first like to thank my counterpart, Co-Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Tyreek Hunter. While I'm off managing special projects and saving the world, Mr. Hunter is making sure day-to-day operations are going efficiently and nothing is slipping in between the cracks of all of our 10 schools. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. I'd like to thank Mr. Ralph Mahica Sr., also here. No matter how eccentric my visions are for improving and upgrading Montclair Public School District facilities, Ralph Mahica Sr. rallies our staff and rallies support with the time-honored tradition taught to us by a time-honored president. Yes, we can. Thank you, Ralph. I cannot thank everyone because there are just too many people, but I'll get to the point. Wait a minute. My mayor is here. I'd like to acknowledge Mayor Spiller. Mayor Spiller, it's ironic that you and my wife are in the same space at the same time because for years I have gone home after leaving New York Sports Club, seeing you on the bicycle saying, "Babe, I saw him, I saw him." In fact, your NJEA Treasurer Secretary card is on my dresser at the moment. I have looked up to you, and I have aspired to be like you since your career here, sir. Thank you. And if I may go a step further in saying, we would not have been able to get the schools open after the flood without the assistance, Dr. Pons and I, of our mayor. So I want to thank you for that again, sir, publicly. Yeah. I had a conversation a couple weeks ago with Wally Choice, who's here. And it was regarding the spirit of the catching suite. And that is the spirit of Montclair. That very spirit has educated, nurtured, and empowered our youth in every generation. I was such a youth. And if you ask my wife, I'm still a Montclair child. I attended, as I see Reverend Dunn here today, and as I see members of the Pelham family, Shakira, whom I grew up with, I attended the Mndc Project Oasis summer enrichment programs and played basketball right here at Glenfield as a youth. Many of the academic programs of Mndc were housed here in Glenfield School and in the Catching Suite. In the winter, as I see Anthony Virgil, brother of the late, great Alto Virgil. Anthony was my classmate and has been my very best friend my whole life. When we graduated from Montclair High, I went to Clark Atlanta and Anthony went to Morehouse. People used to line up. People would come from all over the state to watch Alto play. In fact, I believe the price of admission began because of Alto. Coaches came from all over the country, scouts came from all over the country to watch Alto Virgil play and graced our gyms and therefore brought opportunity to all of us. In the winter, we played basketball for Coach Bobby Hurt and for Coach Major Jennings, who is here. And Coach, I want to take the opportunity to say, any advocacy, any righteousness that I have stood up for in this school district as an administrator, any injustice that I have not tolerated was because you taught us that nobody comes into our house and pushes us around. And in the springtime and in the summer, we play basketball right here for Craig Brandon, for the Jersey Night AAU program. These men and mentors kept me out of trouble. They saved my life and the lives of so many of our students who have matriculated through Montclair Public Schools throughout the years. As I see our 4th Ward Councilman, Mr. David Cummings, I'm reminded that Mr. Cummings was also one of these youths. Councilman Cummings participated in the custodian internship program, where our students were allowed to become custodians and learn skills and trades while working in our schools over the summer. Something Dr. Pons and I would like to see returned to the school district. The challenge with projects like these is in generating support, getting the buy-in and the funding to complete them. So at my peak of frustration one day, God led me to another such Montclair youth, also born and bred, to advocate the understanding that our community and school district are synonymous and symbiotic. And that man was Mr. Brian Fletcher, our PTA, Glenfield PTA president. Mr. Fletcher jumped into action, and he supported us for this project. So although I occasionally get too much credit, I have to say, without our maintenance staff, without our custodians, without our PTA, without our superintendent, nothing would be possible. As I see our former 4th Ward Councilwoman, Renee Baskerville, I'm reminded that my mother would drag us out to all of her 4th Ward Township meetings. So the seed of advocacy was planted in me at your township meetings, Dr. Baskerville, and I want to honor you for that. And in closing, I would like to say that as a supervisor of buildings and grounds, there is a chasm which exists between my department and central office. I want to say our superintendent is there are probably 3 seats between he and I in reference to the chain of command. However, he has walked with me in improving our facilities and ensuring that they are fit for the health and safety of children day in and day out. And regardless of what you may hear about me, I would not be able to do what I do without him. God bless you. God bless Montclair, no place like home. And God bless these United States of America. Thank you.
It's going to be very hard to follow Mr. Robert Kelly. He is an ordained minister. And I made a joke with Mr. Hunter that Rob's probably going to blow everybody out of the water with his speech. And I love him for it. I love him for what he cares about in Montclair. I love him for his passion. When you have someone passionate about something, you channel that energy into doing something positive for the community. So when he gives me a call about what he needs to get done, I do try to find ways to get it done. We have some more distinguished guests here today. And first, I want to thank and bring up Ms. Latifah Jana, our school board president, to say a couple of nice words. And we have 2 more board members who are coming up here also.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you. Always a teacher. On behalf of the Montclair Board of Education, I have 2 of my board members here today, Ms. Crystal Hopkins, Ms. Catherine Weller-Deming. I want to thank Congressman Payne, Senator Gill, our township officials, Mayor Spiller, Councilman Cummings, Councilor Robert Russo. I know I'm going to forget some people, but there's so many people here to thank for what is happening here in this room. But I especially want to thank Mr. Kelly and Dr. Pons for reminding us how important this town is, how important the relationship between the township and the schools are. This is amazing that they put their energy into making this a space available again for our community and recognizing the importance of Glenfield School and Glenfield School as a community school here in the district. So they told me I was going to have to speak about 2 minutes after I walked in the door. So this will not be long, but I really do appreciate, Mr. Kelly, you know how much I appreciate the work that you have done and the work that Buildings and Grounds Department continues to do in the district to make sure that our schools are safe for our students and our staff. It is so much appreciated. We don't often get a chance to tell you this, but thank you so much. Again, I'm grateful to our superintendent for ensuring that this happens and that this continues to happen in our district and taking our history seriously and how important it is to maintain it. I was just in a conversation with our longtime Montclair resident, Ms. Bobby Riley, on how important this is, not to lose the history of our town. And I am glad that they are helping to maintain it. And I encourage all of us to keep doing that so we don't lose that history. And I do want to thank the Owens family, Ms. Choice, the rest of the Choice family, the Pelham family, the Catchings family for being here and for helping to rededicate this space and making this happen. So thank you all so much. Thank you, board members, for being here. We are committed to Montclair Public Schools, and we are more so committed to the Montclair community in which most of us have lived most of their lives, if not all of their lives. I'm sorry I lost out on going to Montclair High School. I regret that, but that was my father's choice. But I have lived here most of my soon-to-be 74 years. There's no other place I would have brought my children back to go to school here and to be raised here. So this is really important. I don't want us to lose how important this is, that this is happening. Thank you all so much.
Next, I would like to welcome up our Congressman, Mr. Donald Payne.
Thank you, and good afternoon. It's a real honor and a privilege for me to be here in Montclair and through redistricting to still be a representative of Montclair, parts of Montclair. We had to cut mine back a bit, but I held on, so I'm still here. So we finally had to let Miss Cheryl live in her district as opposed to being my constituent in the 10th. So we had to kind of move the lines, but she's a great representative and a great partner. It's an honor to be back here today in Montclair, as I said, to celebrate the opening of the Catching Owens Community Suite. I want to thank Jonathan Pond, Superintendent of Montclair Public Schools, for the invitation to speak to you today. Today we reopen a community center that has served Montclair for more than 40 years. It has been a place of educational and recreational programs for residents of all ages. And turn the page. And it's existing. It is exciting to see such a community support for this suite. But that's nothing unusual about the Montclair community. It has always been a community that has been supportive of each other, honoring its history, and people that have been diehards in the community are continually recognized. So it's not surprising that we're here today. Now that it has been upgraded, it can continue to provide a space for everyone to enjoy. And again, I'm honored to be here to reopen this facility, and I look forward to visiting it again for a program or a special event in the future. And congratulations once again. Thank you.
Ms. Cora Present is here from Mikey Sherrill's office to give us a certificate, congressional recognition of the rededication and reopening of this space. Next, we have our distinguished leader, Ms. Senator Nia Gill.
Okay, I'm a Mountie born and a Mountie bred. And when you talk about this room, I can't help but to hear the voice of Al Smith and Barbara Smith and Mr. Catchings Sr. And when Wally Choice, all those years ago, with Audrey Fletcher, and Wally Choice said, we are going to have a community school, which means it does not close at 4 o'clock. That we were going to have a community school that was part of the community, open to the community, to provide both safe places and innovative places. And that was a new idea. And of course, we struggled to make sure that idea became a reality. And so with Mr. Choice and Mr. Choice, but Mr. Choice with his booming voice said this will be a community school that does not close at 4 o'clock, where you don't have to be in school to use the facilities. All you have to do is be in the community to come here. And so in this place, we talked about big ideas. In this space, we organized so that Montclair could become a better community. It is in this space where we were taught that it is not simply the destination, it's the journey. And so wherever we were gonna go together. If it was magnet schools, if it was stopping the issues of some educational policy, like tracking, we were gonna do it together. Because at the end of the day, our elders taught us. Can you believe we're the elders now? My son said, oh Lord, we really in trouble. But our elders taught us that we could tear this town apart over racial divide, or we could come together based upon the excellence for all. And when we descend, and we cannot leave out the wonderful job done by the Baskerville family, the Warriors, they came and said, we will not permit this town, our community, to be torn apart. And this is what this represents. And so, even if I have to stand in the hallowed halls of the Senate, my roots are here. And I could no more deny my roots in Trenton than I could deny them right here. And that's the spirit of Montclair. We need to keep that spirit. And you know what? We're open to all. New people move in, that's fine. We don't have an antagonistic because we use the same principles that our elders taught us. We could either tear this town apart or we could move together for the future. And Montclair's not perfect, but it's like a garden. Every now and then you got to pick the weeds so the flowers could grow. We may be in weed picking time, hacking time, but the flowers are gonna go. I'm a Mountie, and Mountie born and Mountie bred.
Weed picking time. I love that statement. So I want to recognize several people who could not be here today. Assemblyman Thomas Giblin. Essex County Executive Joseph DiVincenzo. And Commissioner Brendan Gill. Next, I want to call up our mayor, Mr. Sean Spiller.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I have to say it is great to be in here, but I have to say as I stood over here and I look around the room and I see who's in here, I look at a space and we all look around and say how beautiful the space looks. I think everyone would agree, wonderful job. But when I look and I see that we have a congressperson, a senator, so many distinguished members of the community, I know that people are not here because the space just looks a little better. We're here because of what a room like this, what a community center like this, what an opportunity this is for us to come together, to do the work of the community, and to make sure we move forward together. I know the number of meetings I've had in here, and certainly we sat in some of those old chairs and some of the old things that were here, but guess what? We were doing the work of the community then, and we're still doing it now, and we're going to do it moving forward. But as I say, you know, I remember walking the halls with Mr. Kelly, right, as we hit the schools and did the different things, and we were walking through mud and trying to clean it up. And what came to me then, as it comes to me now, is the urgency to get those schools back and open. The urgency to make sure this space remains. The urgency to upkeep was not because we've got a place in disrepair, we've got a building that needs help. It's because of who's in there. It's because of what's done. It's because of the children that need that space. It's because of the community that needs to come together to do the important work. And I really think that is what this is all about. And that is why you are all here. It is because we know that always we've got to find those spaces to come together, to talk about our differences, to talk about our common goals, but to move forward as one community. And that's what a community school is all about. That's why it's so special. But that's also why so many people come together and fondly remember a space. Because it's not the space, it's not the colors, it's who you sat down next to. It's the work that you did. It's how we helped move forward together. And I look forward to the years and years ahead that will happen in this same room for generations to come, when they will all be talking about their elders, right? And saying, I remember what they left for me, and I have an obligation to leave for the next generation. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see, yes, but I'm excited because once again, here we are as a community, coming together to move forward together. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call to come speak Councilman at Large, Mr. Bob Russo.
Thank you, Dr. Pons. Dr. Pons spoke at my class in Montclair State, political science class called Urban Administration last semester. Now, I don't have a class this semester because somebody's cut me out of my classes after 21 years, but I will always be a teacher. I started in Newark, 4th grade, arrested during the teacher strike in 1970, and been an AFT union member ever since. My people here that really affected my life are people like Maynard Catchings, the inspiration of Maynard Catchings, and the inspiration of Richard Owens. And in this room, we had so many meetings over the years, especially the Montclair Democratic Committee. And I was reminded by my good friend Tanya Petit this morning of all the meetings we had, with my wife being the treasurer of the Montclair Democratic Committee and even paying a fee to let us rent and use the room. So we've always had great meetings here, and our chair of the Democratic Committee, our county commissioner, Brendan Gill, is in a meeting with the U.S. Governors Association, which our governor chairs now. So Brendan couldn't be here, and he asked me to please send his best wishes and praise for all of you. There's so many great people who I want to say thank you to, and I want to make sure everybody understands that I wouldn't be here as a council member again, and I wouldn't be here having been mayor 20 years ago if it wasn't for the residents of the 4th Ward and the meetings that I had here in this room, and the support and help of Senator Nia Gill, and former Congressman, your father, Donald Payne, and of Renee Baskerville, who I appointed to the Board of Education in 2004 on the anniversary, the 50th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education, one of my greatest appointments as a mayor. Now, you know this place means so much to all of you and to me, but what you have to understand is that this place is the beginning of my own career here in Montclair. So I'm happy to be here today to thank all of you, to thank Dr. Pons for coming to my class and speaking about how important education is. And I wish that Mayor Spiller, myself, and the whole council can continue to help and support all the efforts that so many of you make in this town. I'm probably going to retire in a couple of years. My wife would like me to do it this year when I'll be 75 in October. But I told her there's still work to be done. And today, the most important thing we have is the appointment of the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court. So, to me, what's important in this town is the African-American community, and we just passed as a council a resolution to support the study of reparations. Now, why should we even study that? But at least we got it on the agenda to study reparations. And the other night I was saying in my little talks, which I give at every council meeting at the end, that we shouldn't wait another day to pass that resolution because African Americans have waited 400 years to even discuss this, so let's pass it tonight. That's the passion that I bring to this. I really feel so strongly that even if I do retire, maybe I'll run for the Board of Ed. Thank you.
Next, I would like to call up Mndc Executive Director, Reverend Dr. Craig Dunn.
Gotcha. Put this away. You know, there's one stop that I made when I first came home from college every year, every break. And that was to come to this suite where they had the dewdrop in. Because my first stop was I knew that my grandfather would be here. And so I got to sit with Mr. Owens. And I remember the story he told about the baseball. And I was sharing with Ms. Pierce, the principal here, my memories of Glenfield School. And sliding down that hill in the hallway down the basement. And sitting out on the ledge where you see a little, in the top floor there, which was room 222. And so this school shaped the man I became because I lived by the principle of Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. It's humanity. And the other thing is, the second thing I live by is Cassiaran Ingera, which means, are the children well? It's a greeting. Because if the children are well, the community is well. So I'm grateful for Dr. Pons. I'm grateful for this school system. I'm grateful for this catching suite. Because one thing, it's not about just the history. It's about the future. And so I've come back into this role in Montclair because I'm about community. My dissertation was about moving from transactional action to relational gatherings. Because if we do things to get something in return, then it's a transactional relationship. If I'm always coming to get something from you, then I'm not offering anything to you. But if we're relational, then it's about what we give to one another. That's why there's a man here, Sandy Hunter, who he knows was one of my first basketball coaches in Glenfield Park. I am, because we are. And because we are, I am. So when you look around this town from this day forward, and you meet in this catching suite, remember Mr. Choice, Mr. Owens, men of catchings, and all who walk through this space. My last thing, my fondest memory, my second fondest memory in this space, was when the Essex County League of Volunteer Workers invited Betty Shabazz to speak in the auditorium upstairs. And so I loved Malcolm X's writings and things. So I said to them, Joy, you remember, I said to them, I gotta meet her. I said, we got you. Not only did I meet her, they sat me next to her, and I was able to walk down these steps here into this catching suite and put my jacket on her. So I was her escort for the night. At that time, I felt I died and gone to heaven. But then I realized that today, heaven is still right here where we are. God bless you.
I want to recognize NAACP President, Mr. Roger Terry.
Good afternoon. I didn't plan on saying anything today, but after listening to some of the distinguished speakers here, I figured as a resident of the Township of Montclair, whose family has been here for several generations in the Township of Montclair. My mom and her brothers and sisters went to Glenfield School back in the 30s. I'm an uptown guy, so I went to Rand School. I know Craig and I had argued about it all the time, but the Rand, Georgian and Montclair High School, along with our senator there, you know. Yeah, I know you don't like that either, but that's okay. That's okay. It was a great battle, but when we got to the high school, everybody came together and worked together. We had tremendous parents that were community minded. So when I think the Ketchens, Mr. Owens, and Mr. Owens, by the way, the NAACP started in St. Mark's Church here in Montclair. Both of them were strong members of the NAACP, always supported, worked in the community, and also were fighters for civil rights. I want to mention, when they talk about Wally Choice, I want to mention Audrey Fletcher. Don't forget about her too. You know, one of the most powerful voices in this community and freedom fighters. So it's an honor, first of all, to come together and see all of the faces after all we've gone through for the last couple of years. God bless and stay healthy.
Next, I want to ask to come up to speak the distinguished wife of Wally Choice, Miss Celine Choice.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here on this special occasion. I had remarks prepared, but there is a piece of literature there which is giving the history of the community suite, how it all came about, and the efforts that were taken to put it in place. There may be just one other item, that the land that this catching suite is on right now was once county land. And the land in the back of the school was also county land. And in order for the school to have the renovation and to complete the suite and everything, it took efforts from the community, from the Glenfield task force, from everybody, to make a compromise with the county and the Board of Education. And as a compromise, the county granted the land to the Board of Education to extend the school. And the school promised to put in 3 new tennis courts in Glenfield Park, which they did. So you see, this facility did just not fall out of the sky. It took effort and hard work from many members of the community to put it in place. And I would just like to reiterate and thank Dr. Pons for the renovation, Mr. Kelly for the wonderful job that he has done, and also Mr. Brown for keeping this facility in tip-top shape and always being cooperative in helping us to use it. And it's great to see all of you here today. Thank you very much.
Assembly Thomas Giblin has just arrived. I'm ask him to come give a speech for us.
I'm going to put my mask on, do what's socially. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Well, I wanted to make a special effort to be here today because when I think about the Catchings Suite and its significance to the Township of Montclair, it's extremely important, and I think of the countless activities that have been in the suite over the years, and certainly Maynard Catchings. I'm trying to think, I guess he was councilman under the original change back around 1980. Was that right, Bob? That's correct. That's what I thought, trying to think back about it. And I guess, was Mary Machari the mayor then? In that particular second, in 80? But first of all, I want to marvel at the how well the suite looks. That's important. And as you all know, Montclair is a very interesting community. We have all shapes and all sizes, and we go from A to Z as far as makeup, and that's what America is all about. And that's why it's so critical that we maintain this facility and keep it open to different organizations and groups who want to partake and use it for the betterment of the community, to Dr. Pons and all the other folks that are connected with the Montclair Board of Education. Thank you for your leadership as far as this reopening is concerned and ribbon cutting. So I just wanted to, offer congratulations and say that onward and upward, and keep the flag flying as far as the Maynard Catching Suite. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay.
Next, I want to ask up the distinguished 4th Ward Councilman, Mr. David Cummings.
I'm not going to ask everyone above 70 to stand up, only because I want you to know you are my mothers and fathers, because I am a product of everything that you all fought for. And I really, truly appreciate that. And as I look out here, Craig said it, but Sandy, can you please stand up? Please. He's going to hate me, but Mr. Jennings, can you please stand up? I'm not going to ask Tara to stand up because nobody can see her, but you can definitely hear her. But what I really want to say is, as I look out here, I see Ron Burton, I see Miss Willis, I see Joyce Michelson, I see Latif, I see Dr. Baskerville, and then when I read the history and I see names like Mr. Griffin and Audrey Fletcher, as I always say, I stand on shoulders of people who really built this town. And there's nothing that I could ever say more than that. And as I look up here and I think of Rob Kelly, who called me about 2 years ago, and he was not concerned about the school. This is before the school system. Rob was just worried about coming back from the Army and supporting his township. And that's the kind of dedicated man that he is. I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge Senator Gill, Congressman Payne, for the simple fact that they represent Montclair to the best. And we're very blessed to have them as our representatives. Mayor Spiller, I appreciate your time coming here. Bob Russo, he said he would retire. He's been saying that for 25 years. Bob's not going anywhere, and I hope he doesn't, because in our conversations, he always reminds me of my Aunt Gwenda Williams, who sat in this place with everyone here and fought for all that we have. So to the Choice family, to the Owens family, to the Catchings family, thank you. Thank you on behalf of the Township of Montclair. Thank you on behalf of me as your 4th Ward council person. Who are you pointing at, Tara? Your wife. Oh. I was saving that for last, Tara. See, you always got to talk. Since she started it, my wife Kimberly is here, who, without her support in anything, there's nothing I would be able to do. You know, Rob talked about me being part of the custodian program. I was 13 years old and I worked in this building. I graduated from this building in 1981 and was under renovation. That park over there, Glenfield Park, means everything to me, from grassroots through high school, MCAT, which is now Project Oasis. And I say that to say that there is nothing in here our roots are not strong enough to handle. I was in church one Sunday and the conversation was about the redwood trees. Redwood trees are very tall, large trees in Northern California. And what is the strength of the redwood tree are the roots. They cut down one tree, and when they found was all the roots were wrapped around one another. And that's what we have here in Montclair. The Catchings know the Owens know the Pelhams know the Jennings know the Choices know the Nicholases, the Burtons, the Taylors, the Cummings, the Johnson, you name it. We all have a combination and a collection that we all together. Latifah said it. Bobby Riley. She's not here, but her boys and her girls are, because we all represent, we all come together and we all fight. Yes, Montclair is a progressive community. I say that respectfully, but to me, Montclair is a community that it's not about diversity, it's about opportunity. Because I had an opportunity to be born on Mission Street, move to the South End, go away to college, come back here. And it's because of every one of you in here that I had that opportunity. Because I knew that A, if I went away and I came back, I would be coming back to love, I would be coming back to community. There's nothing I can tell anyone in here about Montclair that you don't know, those from here. Yes, I graduated, Latif, I got to walk across the bridge, which a lot of people in this township don't want to happen anymore. But as long as I'm alive, that's one fight I will continue to fight for. And before I recognize and announce all the family members, I have to say that the loss of Albert Pelham, for me personally, is tremendous. I have no one to call at 7 a.m. or 10 o'clock to just run something by. And when you have that type of person in your life, there's nothing you don't feel like you can do. There's no challenge because you know what you're going to get back is honesty and what's best for everybody. And so that's the same thing with the Cummings family, the Owens family. Brother Ali, when I first ran, said, hey, come on, you got to sit down at the kitchen. Reached out to me. I didn't have to reach out to him because he wanted me to understand what I was getting into, him and his brother and his sister. And so what I will say is we're here in a space that has meant a lot to this community and will continue to mean a lot to this community. We're here in a space that the greatness that walked through here will only continue as we give back and we let the next generation take the lead. I am the baby for you all. And it's up to me and my generation to create more babies. And that's what Project Oasis is about. Getting them young kids in there every summer for $10 for 6 weeks where they are nurtured, cared for, and loved, and given the opportunity to be in a safe place. We may use recreation to draw them in, but once they're there, what they're exposed to are life lessons. And when the new the new Wally Choice Center is completed next year, it'll give us more space and more opportunity to continue to do the work that everyone in here started. And so now, as I don't know why they put this on me, but I appreciate it, I get to introduce the family members from the Owens and Cummings family. So, it's going to start from the young folks. William Hinton, grandson? No? Kevin Ali? So I'm going to say Keith and Kathy Ali. Is Sean and Troy here? Okay. D'Amica. See, D'Amica's the type, she's always behind Marilyn. And so I wanted her to be in front of you this time. Marilyn. And to I call them a clan, the Pelham family. Yeah, because you get with one of y'all, you know, you got the Gibbses, you got the Spikes. It's like, come on, y'all are something else. My dear friend, Audrey Pelham. Mr. Lars Clark. Wylena Pelham Grant. Joan Pelham. Wanda Gibbs Lethwich. And Shakira Pelham. Whoever gets the photo of these families together, you have a true oasis and picture that reflects everything about this township. To both of you, thank you so much for everything that you've done, everything you continue to do. And Dr. Pons, I want to acknowledge you for why we're here. Because when Dr. Pons, well, Nina DeRosa, please. Nina's done it all and seen it all. Because there hasn't been a superintendent here who hasn't had her as her assistant or their assistant. But when Dr. Pons asked me about this, I was like, okay. I said, well, you know, why are you doing it? He said, David, we're doing an unveiling of a new park at Watchung. And everybody's showing up and we're recognizing a lot of people. I would not do that and do what we're doing and doing here at the Cummings Owens Suite and not give it the same recognition that it deserves. And that spoke a lot to me because it shows that he is very in tune to the fact that he is going to be equally representative for all of Montclair. And what happens at Glenfield in the 4th Ward is going to be the same that happens in Upper Montclair or any other ward. So Dr. Pons, I got you back. Thank you. Now we got to get him to get a football coach who, knows what Mountie Blue is like. So that's his next step. But again, to all, thank you so much for being here. I hope everyone really takes the time to understand that the work that was done in this building is truly remarkable. It does have the right color, blue and white, and we will always have it for a facility for everyone in the community. So thank you.
All right. I've been told to count down.
That thing is sharp.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight, or today, sorry, this afternoon. Have a great day, and thank you all.